Hey, everybody.
Hi. Hi.
Yep, you can unmute and say hi if you want to say hi. We'll wait like one more minute before we get started. Yeah, and you can totally use the chat as usual. And let's keep the chat for things that are important to say, not things like blah, 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 blah. Things that actually make sense today, okay? Okay, let me get my slideshow up. I don't know if you guys know, but we are talking about one of my favorite animals ever today, which is bats. I couldn't think of a topic. I was really stuck and I was like, I know what I want to talk about, something I already know lots about, which are bats. Okay. He's got a video. He's watching something in the background there. Let's see. I think I'm going to do a virtual bat background. Which one today? How about this one? All right. Let's see. Okay, so we gave it 2 minutes. I'll start sharing my screen. I'm going to have you guys mute yourselves, okay? I'm muting everybody right now. Okay, can you guys see my slideshow? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Awesome, awesome. And if you want to keep your camera off, that's okay. I do like seeing your faces, so it's really nice for me when I can see your faces. Because I have my face here and I want to see you reacting to all the information. I want to see if it makes you excited or if you're super bored so that I know for next week, right? And please today use the chat. So let's make sure we use the chat to talk about bats and answer the questions that I have for you. But I wanted to check in with you guys before we get started. I wanted to know on a scale of 1 to 9, these cats, how are you feeling today? Which cat do you most associate with? How are you feeling? Write it in the chat so I know how you're feeling. I'm kind of like
Numbers in the chat.
What?
Do we have to put the numbers in the chat? Like what cat do we like?
Yeah, what cat do you feel like? Are you like worried or surprised or relaxed? Which cat are you? Okay, we got a lot of 8s going on. Ooh, we got a lot of grumpy people with funny looking hair. I am kind of like a 9 right now, personally. I'm feeling a little silly, so that's me. A lot of people are 6 right now. This guy over here. Somebody said all. You're feeling all of the cat emotions right now. Wow. Well, cats are really, really cute, but I want to show you an animal that I think is even cuter. First of all, look at this guy right here. Whoa, look at that bat. This is a bat. It's called the bumblebee bat. And we're going to talk about this bat later. This is the smallest bat on Earth. In fact, it's the smallest mammal on Earth. It's smaller than all the other mammals on Earth. It's as big as like one little part of that person's finger. It's so tiny. So these cats are cute, but I think this bat is even cuter. I'll let you read the meme. And I didn't wear my turtleneck on purpose, but so yeah, so I am the darkness. Oh wait, you want cuddles? Okay, I'll give kittles. But remember, I'm still the darkness. I know, he's so cute. So today we'll learn all about some bats, and I wanted to start by asking you guys a question, of course. Let's see. Let's start with, all right, let's start with that. When are bats active? So vote in the poll. When do you think bats are active? Are they active in the daytime or the nighttime? I want to see how much you already know about bats as we get started. Now you'll notice a lot of you are saying nighttime, but I see that all of these pictures are in the daytime. Interesting.
They're pictures of them in the daytime sleeping.
Yeah, so they do sleep a lot during the daytime. Some bats are active in the morning and like in the evening, but typically they like the nighttime. So what is that called when an animal likes to be awake in the nighttime? What is that called?
They're nocturnal?
Yeah, they're nocturnal, exactly. Awesome. Great. Okay. Oh, let me make sure there's nobody waiting in the waiting room. Okay, we're good. All right. Yes, so most of you knew that much about bats. They are called nocturnal. Let's do one more vote, see what else you guys know about bats. Okay, how many species, how many different types of bats do you think there are in the world? You write that in the chat. How many species of bats do you think there are? All right, awesome. Okay, so nobody voted for 500, which is very good because there are more than 500. There are more than 800, but there are less than 14,000. There are 1,400 bat species in the world that we know of, because we are still finding out new things about science every day. And there could be different species living in places that we just haven't explored fully yet. So there are 1,400 bat species. Awesome. Now, do we think that bats live in New York? That's my next question. Let's see, where is it?
Yes. Yes, because I see them. I see them every day in the park.
You've seen them in the park? You've seen bats in the park?
Yeah, every night.
Yes, so far. Cool. Some people say they fly through here. Okay, so the good news is bats do live in New York. There are several species of bats that live in New York. Let's see, I think that is my next slide. Oh, not yet, but we'll get to that. Okay, we answered some of the questions in the polls. Awesome. Okay, what is a bat? Who knows? Is a bat a bird, a reptile, or a mammal? You can write that in chat, or I'll let you guys, if you want to draw, you can draw on the screen. Circle which one you think it is. You can draw or you can write it in the chat. So someone says mammal. Ooh, a lot of people are circling mammal. All right, very good. It seems like everybody's in agreement. A bat is not a reptile. A bat is not a bird. It is a mammal. Sweet. All right, I'm going to clear the drawings. Okay. Awesome. Very good, guys. Okay. Oh, what was that? What just happened? Okay. Oh, let me clear those drawings one more time. All right. I'm going to play a little video to get us started off so you guys know the basics about bats. Here we go.
Get ready for things you want to know. What creature is most active at night and sleeps hanging upside down? Bats. Sometimes mistaken for shape-shifting bloodsuckers or vampires, but only 3 species of bats feed solely on blood, while other species feed on insects, fruit, and fish. Bats' unique taste buds aren't the only thing that makes them special. They also have distinctive prints on their wings, like human fingerprints. There's no mistaking one bat from another. There are over 1,300 species of bats found around the globe. More incredibly, one of them is named the world's smallest mammal, the bumblebee bat. Bats are the only flying mammal on Earth. And did you know that these furry flyers are also pollinators? They help supply us with some of our favorite foods, like bananas, avocados, and mangoes. Birds, bees, and butterflies pollinate plants during the day, then bats and moths take over the night shift. Most bats are nocturnal. foraging for insects like mosquitoes, beetles, and moths. They're like a nighttime pest control. A common bat can eat over 3,000 tiny bugs in one single night. And during the day, get ready.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I was just getting rid of that.
Things you want to know.
1 second. I'll get it. Let's see. Where were we?
20 million bats. This gigantic crowd doesn't stop bat moms from finding their pups. Using their unique voices and scents, moms can easily locate their babies. Like humans, bats have voice recognition. Even more amazing, bats navigate by echolocation, which basically means they can see using sound. Hopefully, this has busted some myths and fears you may have had about bats. Instead, we should celebrate them for their natural pest control and pollinating powers.
All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties there for a second. Okay, so we learned a few different reasons why bats are good. If you can remember some of the reasons why bats are good, write that in the chat. And then maybe you also heard some myths, some things that people think about bats that maybe aren't true. If you can remember either good things that they said in the video about bats, positive things they do for the ecosystem, write that. And if you can remember some negative things, things that we don't, that people think about bats that aren't even true, write that in there too. So we wrote pest control and pollination, awesome. Yep, that's totally true. So those are the good things. And then some of the negative stereotypes, the things that people think about bats that aren't necessarily true. We got vampires so far. So people think that they're vampires. You couldn't hear some of it? I'm sorry. Was that the case for everybody? Could a lot of you not hear it? I'll turn it up louder next time. Vampire bats. And then also some people think that bats spread disease. People think that bats are, have a lot of diseases, like rabies, which bats do have some diseases. They do have rabies, some of them. And you guys have probably heard that coronavirus maybe started from somebody eating a bat. So maybe you've heard that before. Yeah, okay, maybe all of you haven't heard that because I see some shocked faces out there. But bats can spread disease. They can spread diseases like rabies. Rabies it's a disease that sometimes dogs have. You can get a vaccine, a shot for it. But other animals have it too. So yes, bats do spread it, but that's like a really negative stereotype about bats. That is true, but not as much as people think. It's not that big of a problem. Okay, so what continents do bats live on? So we know that they live in New York. We've talked about that. So write your hypothesis in the chat, or I'm gonna let you guys circle again. So you can circle on here all of the places that you think bats live. So you can circle each country or you can circle each continent. So we have North America, the North American continent over here. We have South America over here, Africa right here, Australia, which is its own continent, Europe, which is kind of like that, and then Asia. And then this map doesn't actually have Antarctica on it, but Antarctica would be down here. Antarctica is very, very south. I live over here, you guys live over here, and then Greenland is part of Europe as well, actually. So that's part of Europe like that. So where do you think bats live? So a lot of people have circled specifically Canada, cool. Somebody circled all of North America, awesome. Ooh, you put in a square. I don't even know how to do that. That's cool, Cody. Okay, so pretty much people think that bats live everywhere. Does anybody think they live in Greenland over here, which is technically in Europe? Anybody want to circle Greenland? Awesome. Okay, you guys are right. They do live in all of these places. The only continent that bats do not live in fact, is Antarctica, which is not on this map. So bats live on every single continent besides Antarctica. All right, let me clear all the drawings. Good job with that, guys. You're getting better at using the annotation, the circling thing. Oh, Araceli, you can't see the map? You can't see the map? Write more what you can't see in there when you talk. Yeah, let's see. All right, let's see if I can unmute you. Yeah, Leah, you have something to say? You can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
That they can't live in cold places or they'll freeze to death.
Yeah, that's true. They
You know,
can't live in places like Antarctica. But let me ask you, I live in Alaska and some bat species do live here, even though the temperature here gets down to negative 40 degrees below zero, 40 degrees below zero. What do bats do to combat the cold temperatures? What do you guys think? What strategies can they do to survive the cold? What do other animals do in the winter to survive the cold? If you have an answer, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or you can write it in the chat. Hibernate, awesome. Yeah, exactly. So bats do hibernate. Not all bats, some bats don't have to hibernate because they live in warm enough places, but some bats in cold weather do hibernate. Yeah, Yulia, you can go again. Go ahead, you're unmuted, or unmute yourself.
that did you know that some bats literally can drink other animals' blood, and some actually don't wake up at night. They actually stay awake in the day,
Yeah,
like
I
a
think you
brown bat. A brown
Yeah,
bat.
you know a lot about bats. I think you missed the beginning of the talk because we talked about that actually. Yeah, totally. You're absolutely right. Some bat species do drink blood. So even though it's a stereotype that all bats are like vampires, there actually are 3 species of bats that all they like to drink is blood. That's their main food source. And then they, like you said, there are some species of bats that are awake during the day, but most bats are nocturnal. Awesome. So we figured out with the map that bats live everywhere. And then here are the different bat species that live in New York State. So we have the little brown bat, the big brown bat, the Indiana bat, the northern long-eared myotis, the tricolored bat, which has 3 colors, the eastern red bat, the eastern small-footed myotis, the northern bat, and the tree bat, which I don't know why that's its picture. I'm sure there's a picture of it online somewhere. But wow, we have 9 different species of bats in New York State. So there are lots of different ones. So now we're going to go on to some bat facts. So bat fact number 1, bats can live more than 30 years and can fly at speeds of up to 60 miles an hour. Ilya, we'll talk a little bit more in the end. I don't have any questions for you guys yet. They can fly up to 60 miles an hour. In fact, a paper said that Mexican free-tailed bats, and this is a Mexican free-tailed bat, you can see its tail isn't attached to, is like kind of different than other bats, could reach speeds up to 100 miles an hour, which makes it by far the fastest animal on Earth. Because if you guys remember from our fast cats talk, right, the cheetah can go at speeds of, I think it was 70 miles an hour running. And bats actually are able to flap their wings and fly and go at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. Some animals just glide through the air. They just use the air currents and start from a high point and just glide. And bats actually flap their wings and fly. Okay, part 2, how do bats communicate? They use echolocation. So bats find their food in total darkness. They can find their food in total darkness. They find insects by using high-pitched noises. They send out all these little beeps or clicks, and they listen for when those beeps come back. So if you've ever been in like a really, really big room and said in like a deep voice, like echo, and heard it back at different times, bats use echolocation to find their food. So basically, as they're flying, they'll put out that sound, they'll hear where the walls are, because those walls will send the sound back to them. And then that sound wave will also hit off of smaller things like this moth right here. Ilya, you're being really patient, but we're not gonna talk all the time because there's a lot of kids here, okay? So I'll let you talk at the end. You can write in the chat if you'd like. That's a good way to do it. But they send out these echolocation waves. It bounces off of small animals and it comes back to them. So they can figure out where their food is. They can figure out where really big things are so they don't fly into anything. If you guys have ever heard that phrase like blind as a bat, where people think that bats are just blind and they can't see anything. That's not true. Bats actually have great vision. They're able to see really well, but at night they use echolocation to find their food. I wanted to ask you guys, what are some other animals you know that use echolocation? Write in the chat if you know any other animals that use echolocation. And actually, it doesn't even have to be an animal. There's even like devices that use echolocation too. So you can be creative, right? What kind of animals you think use echolocation? Sharks. Ooh, I gotta look that up. Let me see. Something like sharks uses echolocation. Let's see if sharks do. I think sharks use smell a lot, not so much sound. Do sharks use echolocation? Let's see. Sharks use lines to detect patterns in the water. So I think that sharks also combine those lines with their own swimming patterns to create an echolocation field. So yes, they do. Who gets that? Let me see. Yeah, Cody, you got it. Yeah, sharks use echolocation. I just learned something new. Dolphins and whales definitely do. They're kind of like the go-tos. Snakes, let me see if snakes do. You guys are teaching me new things today. This is awesome. Snakes and echolocation. Snakes use vibration waves, so not so much sound. I think that they use, so not sonar, they're using kind of feeling to find stuff. And then we've got whales, dolphins, sharks, whales, awesome. And Jackie, you got the one thing I was talking about, the device, submarines, exactly. Submarines use echolocation too. So it's one of the techniques that we use as people. We use it on submarines. We send out sonar waves, and sonar waves and echolocation, that's the same thing. So they send out these waves to find their moth. The dolphin sends out these waves to find their fish, and probably to avoid predators too, right? They know if they get something back that's really big that might want to eat them, the dolphin won't go that way. And then submarines send out those waves to find land, to find boats that they want to attack or avoid, and use these waves to learn more about what they're heading towards. Awesome, good job, guys. Cool. Okay, fact number 3 is about food. And if you look at the background of this picture, you will see that this is all bats. Bats live in areas called colonies. They live really close together, and they'll all hibernate together like that, or sleep like that at night, or sleep like that during the day together also to stay warm, which does create some problems for them with disease. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But they live all together like that, and they eat up to 1,200 mosquitoes an hour. They consume sometimes their body weight in insects every night. So they can help keep the bug population in check. They're pest control. Go ahead, Yulia. You can tell me one fact, okay? Go ahead.
That did you know there's a type of bug that eats bats?
I didn't know that. What type of bug is that?
I learned it on a nature show.
Oh, cool. Have you
look it up? I dare you. Look it up. I dare you. There's actually a bug that eats bats.
I'll look it up at the end. Have you guys seen that episode of Wildcraft? You guys know that show Wild? Yeah, there's a bat episode. So if you ever want to watch that, you can watch that bat episode. Cool. Thank you for sharing that fact. Yeah, so they don't just eat bugs though. A lot of bats eat bugs, but they also eat all sorts of different things. Bats eat mosquitoes. Bats are pollinators, so they'll eat nectar from flowers. They'll go into the flower and eat the sugar, the nectar. And then bats actually love to eat fruit too. And isn't this just like the most adorable bat ever? Oh my gosh. Look at its eyes. So bats will eat fruit too. And so I wanted to show you a little video of a bat eating. Okay, write in the chat 1 to 10. How cute is that bat? It's so cute. It's so cute. I give it a 9.5 at least. But wait till you see the bumblebee bat later. Okay, there we go. All right, now there are bats that do suck blood. I don't want to avoid it. I have to tell you about it, right? So there are really cute bats that eat fruit, but there are some bats that suck blood. There is the common vampire bat, the hairy-legged vampire bat, and the white-winged vampire bat. Now, don't worry. None of these bats live in New York. I already checked. In fact, none of them even live in the United States. Jada Lee said, woo, thank goodness. They don't even live in the United States. They don't even live actually in Canada or North America. And they don't live in Alaska, thank goodness. But they do live in South America and Central America. So their range is from Mexico all the way down to Brazil. So all of South America, if you remember that map from earlier. So if you have family that lives in South America, you could ask them, hey, have you ever seen a vampire bat? They may have. I like your expressions. I don't know how to say your first name, but Felix, very good expressions. And then when I was looking at vampire bats, I also saw, oh, I forgot to put it in. I'll have to show you a very funny looking bat picture later. Remind me at the end to show you the very funny looking bat picture. Okay, what just happened? There we go. Okay, fact number 4. More than half of the bat species in the United States are in decline or endangered. In addition to loss of habitat, so they have less room to live. Remember, we've been talking about that a lot lately, how animals have less room to live as human development, as humans spread out and take more land up. They have less habitat. They also have a disease. A lot of bats have this disease called white nose syndrome. So Kobe, I'll unmute you. You can tell us what you have to say. Go ahead. I think you're raising your hand. No? Nothing? Okay. Okay, so bats, yeah, this disease called white nose syndrome. This disease was first found in New York. In the whole world, the very first case that they found it was actually in New York at a cave in upstate New York called Howe Caverns. And the problem is with bats, diseases spread very, very quickly. If you remember that photo from earlier, where'd it go, right? If you have a ton of people, just like with coronavirus, how people have to spread out and keep distance so that the disease doesn't go from one person to the next. If you're living in really, really close quarters with other people, or in this case, since the bats are living really, really close together, the disease is able to spread very quickly, especially when you're sleeping next to each other for like 12 hours every day. And this disease, I'll tell you a little bit more about the science behind this disease. It's a type of fungus. So it grows on their nose and mouth. You can see it kind of ring on a lot of them. This one doesn't look like it has it yet, but probably living in such close proximity to, 4, 6, 7 bats that do have it, probably this one's going to get it pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind when you think about coronavirus. Remember these bats and how they have to spread out to keep it safe. Maybe we should give them little masks to put over their noses and it won't spread as quick. But this fungus goes onto their nose and mouth. And what it does is it takes nutrients, it takes resources from their body, like food and water. And usually what will happen is it will take a lot of the water from the bat. And because of that, in the middle of hibernation, when the bat is sleeping throughout the winter, the bat will wake up because they'll be dehydrated and they'll be hungry because this fungus has taken a lot of resources from it. And when that bat wakes up in the middle of the winter and it goes to look for food, in the middle of the winter, there's no mosquitoes, right? There's very few bugs out there. There's not really flowers to get pollen from or nectar from. And it's also super cold, so there might not be running water. So it goes out, spends all of this energy to find resources, and then isn't able to. So it's not the actual fungus that kills the bat, it's the fact that it wakes up and looks for food in the middle of winter. And this white nose fungus, the best thing we can do, researchers are working on a cure for it, but the best thing that we can do is try not to spread it. So if you know anybody that likes to go caving, go explore caves, one thing that's really important is to make sure you clean all your clothes after you go caving so you don't take the fungus from one cave to another. The fungus doesn't hurt people, but it can it can be spread from one cave to the next. And the other thing that we can do is work on preserving their habitat. If they have more places to live, if they have more caves and attics and tunnels and underneath bridges to live in, they won't have to be so close together. They'll be able to spread out more and the disease won't transmit as much. Ooh, Emma changed her background to a bat. Emma, do you know what kind of bat that is? No? Okay, well, no, you don't know. Okay, well, if you find out, write it in the chat because I'm curious now. That's a cool bat. So that's a little bit about white nose syndrome. I know it's not that happy of a topic, but I think it's really, really important to tell you guys about because it's such a big problem right now. All right, I'm gonna unmute Yang Ming and Xin Ling. You guys go ahead.
Idea for this thing. What about if we can get rid of that thing by actually doing this? Because technology is growing every day. Oh, what about one day we might have an idea so we can make caves in the sky?
Caves in the sky. Yeah, well, they are working.
Artificial caves in the sky so bats can live there. And we might one day use the clouds. We can actually build stuff on the clouds. Right?
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah,
it's
really
possible.
cool.
But one thing that people do is they make like little, you know how people make bird houses for birds? People also make bat houses. So they make little boxes for bats to live in. So you could do that too.
Yeah, but what about if they put them in the sky?
It's an idea. I don't know how practical of an idea it is, but it's definitely an idea. I'll send you guys the link later and tell you about how to build a bat box. Okay, I think Wesley was next. So Wesley, you go ahead.
I just wanted to say something, just like stating some facts. You can't build a cave in the sky. Clouds do not have any weight, so it can't even hold anything. So there'd be no point. And the only way that'd be possible is if you can manage to make something float, you get your cave. But until that happens, yeah.
I agree with you there, Wesley. Okay, I think Gilia wanted to say something also. And then we're gonna move on.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. What? Oh, forget it. When did you know that that one time that we saw bats near our house?
Yeah.
And that it was flying like super fast, like I could barely see its wings.
That's awesome. So, how many of you guys, I muted you again. Okay, how many of you guys have seen a bat in real life? Raise your hand or raise your virtual hand or put a thumbs up or whatever you want. A lot of you have seen bats in real life. Cool. Jackie hasn't seen one yet. Oh, bummer. You'll see one day, I'm sure. You got to always look up into the sky, right? Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, great. Thank you for participating, guys. Okay, let's go on to our next little topic here. So fact number 5 about bats. Some bats hibernate in caves through the cold winter months and can survive freezing temperatures even if they're encased in ice. Even if there's ice all around them, they're able to survive freezing temperatures. So we talked about that, about white nose syndrome and how it can spread when they're hibernating. But I just wanted to really reinforce this fact and show you some pictures of them hibernating. And so you can totally see where the idea of the vampire came from, right? The vampire that puts his cloak over his face like this, that's coming from a bat. And it has those 2 fangs, that's coming from a bat also. All right, fact number 6. Most bats only have 1 pup a year, making them extremely vulnerable to extinction. So if you have only 1 baby a year, it takes a lot longer to build up a population than if you have, say, 10 babies, like some dogs do or some hamsters do. You might, this decreases the amount of bats living So it's a lot easier to build up your population. Yeah, Yang Ming said cats, totally. And this is a picture of a mama bat and a baby bat. And one of the reasons that they only have one pup is because they actually hold their baby on their stomach as it gets older until it's finally ready to start flying on its own. So it takes a lot of room to grow that baby, right? They have it on its stomach. The mom has it on her stomach all the time until it's ready to what they call fledge the nest, ready to fly on its own. Yeah. Oh, no worries, Eric. It's okay that you came late. This session also, we're recording this session. So this will be up on our website later too. So if you want to see it later, you can. And yes, you can totally go to the bathroom. You don't need to ask me if you need to go to the bathroom in your own house. That's okay. I don't know if they do that for school, but you can totally go to the bathroom when you need to. Okay. Okay, who knows what this picture is? Write your response in the chat. Who knows what this is a picture of? It's related to bats. Bat poop, bat poo. Does anybody know what bat poop is called? It has a scientific name. Dung. It's not dung. It's not poop. Well, it is poop, but it has a more scientific name than poop. Okay, Yalia has his hand raised. I'll unmute him, but if you write it in the chat, diarrhea. It is not called diarrhea. Come on, you know that. Go ahead, Yalia.
First off, I'm not a him.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What I think scientists call it is bat droppings.
Bat droppings. It's a good guess.
That's what I think it is.
Oh my gosh, somebody got it in the chat. Eric got it in the chat. It is called guano. Yeah, that's what it's called, guano. Somebody also said fertilizer, which is also true. Oh, sorry, I said that privately. Here we go. Guano, like Eric wrote. So it is called guano. Bat droppings called guano are one of the richest fertilizers. So bat guano was once a really big business. People really produced a lot of it. They wanted it for their gardens. Guano was Texas's largest mineral export before oil. So Texas now is known for having all this oil. Before they found oil, they sent out bat poop. That was their biggest export, the thing that they sent the most. And Austin, Texas is home to North America's largest city population of Mexican free-tailed bats, which live beneath a bridge in the middle of the city. So you can go to this bridge, you can stand on this bridge every night, and as it gets to be sunset, you can see all of the bats flying out from underneath the bridge. And I'll show you guys a video of that in a little bit. We're not gonna talk for right now, Yolia, so it'll have to be later. Okay, approximately 1.5 million bats live underneath that bridge. Wow. Okay, one of my favorite types of bats is the flying fox. The flying fox lives on islands in the South Pacific. It has a wingspan of 6 feet. And I know that can be really scary because if you stand up, you guys are probably like, I don't know, 5 feet tall. I'm like not even 6 feet tall. I'm only 5'7". So this bat is 5 inches bigger than me. That is a big bat. Luckily, this bat is a vegetarian. It only eats fruit. And then the smallest bat is the one in my picture there. That is the bumblebee bat, which lives in Thailand. It's smaller than a thumbnail, smaller than just your thumbnail, and weighs less than a penny. And I'll show you a video of a flying fox in a little bit. And then here's just a random fact. Pallid bats, it's a species of bat, they eat scorpions. In fact, bats seem to be immune to scorpion stings from even the most venomous scorpion in North America, the Arizona bark scorpion. So they're able to actually eat scorpions too. Talk about pest control. And then the largest bat colony in the whole world, with millions of Mexican free-tailed bats, is this Bracken bat cave. Why are the pictures switching around? Who's doing that? Okay. This Bracken bat cave in Texas with millions roosting there at once. So we'll watch this 1 million bat video and let me know if you can't hear it or anything like that. Okay, guys? Let's see, I'm turning up my volume. Okay. I think that's like a GoPro commercial, but you know what? It worked for me. Like, I'm more interested in GoPro because of that commercial. Pretty cool, right? So you guys saw those bats flying out, millions and millions of bats. Who said something? And how did you even say anything? I thought everybody's muted. Wow. Okay, well, yeah, so some of you guys were messaging me privately. It's a cave that has bats that are filling out into, so yeah, so these bats are leaving every night to go hunting, looking for insects. And then Ying Ming said, I think they're awesome, but no blood-sucking bats, they're bad. Well, everything's got to eat something, right? If you eat meat, I got news for you, you eat blood too when you eat meat. So is it that different? I don't know. Okay. Okay. So the last thing we'll talk about is the biggest and smallest bats. The biggest bat is the flying fox. And here is the bat with a young lady holding it. I'm not sure how tall she is, but remember their wingspan, how far apart their wings can go, is 6 feet. Let's see what that is compared to like a bald eagle, because you guys have probably seen like a bald eagle. Let's see, wingspan of a bald eagle is 7 feet. So it's a little bit smaller than a bald eagle, and it's a bat. Here's another little picture of it. You can see how big its hand is. Remember, I know that looks scary. It looks like a demon or a gremlin or something crazy, but what does the fox say? It does look like a little fox too, you're right. But remember, they just eat fruit. They like to eat fruit. That's their food source, and they only live in Asia or Australia. They only live in Australia. Actually, here is one more video. This is all about the flying fox, the biggest bat. It's a little teasy.
Is it a fox? Or is it a bat? Let's find out. Adam here, and you're watching the Epic Wildlife Series.
The gray-headed flying fox is the largest bat in Australia. This megabat, or fruit bat, has a dark gray body, light gray head, and reddish-brown fur for a collar. Because this bat does not echolocate, it must rely on its large eyes to locate its food of nectar, pollen, and fruit. It has an average wingspan of up to 3.5 feet and can weigh up to 2.5 pounds. The bat's habitats include rainforest, woodlands, and swamps. During the day, you'll find them roosting in colonies of hundreds to thousands in a variety of locations, including at one time, the Royal Botanic Gardens in Sydney. Partially migrate, depending upon the direction that will be the most beneficial at the time. They use winds to facilitate their long-distance travels. During mating season, the neckglands of the males enlarge to mark territories which will be defended aggressively. Females give birth usually once a year between September and November. The young will cling to their mothers for the first 3 weeks, but within 6 months are flying on their own and fully weaned. In 1999, Australian federal law classified them as vulnerable to extinction, and their roosts are now protected across the country.
So that's my favorite type of bat. I actually used to work at a cave in Utah where we got to see bats every day. We got to see bats hanging out on the roof of the cave every day. But bats don't always live in caves. They live in attics sometimes. They live under bridges. They live in all sorts of places. But it was super cool getting to see bats all the time. And one thing we used to do there was we would actually catch bats at night. We put out what's called a mist net, which is a very fine, almost invisible net. We put that out over part of a river. And then we would stand there for 4 hours, and whatever bats flew into the net, we would collect and check on them, see if they had white nose syndrome, see if they were healthy, if they were fit, male or female, see what type of bats were flying through. Yang Ming said, attics? Like she's nervous about it. Well, flying fox don't live in attics, at least not in the United States. But there are types of bats that do live in attics. Okay. Oh. And then this is the tiniest bat, the one that's my background. This is the bumblebee bat. So we have this one right here, and this one. And Kobe asked about invisible nets. Yeah, they're called mist nets, and they're very, very thin nets that the bats can't see, and that when they echolocate, they can't find them because they're so thin. So So it's hard for them to know that they're there. So they'll fly into them by accident. We carefully take them out wearing very thick rubber gloves just in case we get bit, because we don't want to get any of the diseases that a bat might carry. Because remember that if you see a bat, you don't want to get too close, because just like any other wild animal could have diseases and could bite you. So we would take it out, we would examine it, we'd hold out the bat, kind of spread it out like this, make sure its wings were good, see if it was pregnant, see if it's male or female, what type of bat it is, make sure it doesn't have any white nose syndrome or any other bat diseases, and then we would let it go back into the wild. Yeah, Wesley, you had something to say? Let's see, where are you? Okay, go ahead, Wesley.
The bat that's on the person's finger, it just looks like the frog version of a Spider-Man for some reason. Because it just has those big eyes and just like, you know?
Yeah, it's very, very cool looking. I agree. All right, Aaliyah, or how do you say your name? Tell us how to say your name again at the beginning of your talk. Go ahead.
Jalea.
Got it.
Jalea.
Got it.
First off, that was the biggest bat I've ever seen, and this is the smallest. And when we were speaking about fertilizer earlier, we have birds, right? And guess what? What? They were pooping too much, and we accidentally put a little bit of dirt in their cage somehow, and that when they were pooping, and there was no dirt in there, I'm kidding, and when they pooped too much, a huge pile came, and a day after, our mom went to clean the cage, and guess what there was?
What?
Plants.
Plants.
There were literally plants in the bird poop.
Yeah, that's true. Like guano and bird poop, they're really, really good fertilizers. So stuff does grow really quickly in that kind of stuff. Totally. Poop is an excellent fertilizer. Manure, people call it. So like horse poop is manure. So people use that in their garden a lot. I used actually up here, we have a lot of sled dogs, Alaskan Huskies that pull the sleds. And we use that poop in our garden, but only for the stuff that we don't eat. So not for the vegetable garden, only for like the flower garden. And Kobe said, is the bumblebee bat a bat which is a bumblebee? No, I think it's just called a bumblebee bat because it's as small as a bumblebee. It's like a similar size, this guy. Okay, so to end our day, I am going to ask you guys the questions from the beginning. So when are bats active? Let's see if everybody gets it right now. When are bats active? What? Who said daytime? Come on, guys. I guess it's both. I guess, yeah, okay, you're right. It is both. I should have put in a both answer. You're right. So you can vote for one or the other and I'll know that both are right. Cody said both, exactly. Yeah, it is both. It's more nighttime than daytime then. Okay, and let's see, poll number 2. Let's see if you guys can remember, how many bat species are there in the world? We know we have 9 species in New York. And how many species in the whole world? Okay, most people are getting the right answer. It is 1,400, 1400. So a little over 1,000. Awesome. And let's see, question number 3. What do bats eat? What do bats eat? You can write it in the chat or you can vote. And for this, you're gonna get it right no matter what you write because bats eat all of these things. So it depends on the type of bats, but some bats eat bugs like mosquitoes. We learned that bats can eat their body weight in mosquitoes every night. Imagine eating as much as you weigh in food every night. I'd have to eat 180 pounds of food to do that. That's crazy. And then some bats eat blood. 3 vampire bats only drink blood. That's their #1 food source. Fruit, some bats eat fruit, like the flying fox likes to eat fruit. We saw some videos of them eating some bananas and watermelon. And then all of the above. Excellent. Oh, and I forgot nectar. So some bats take the nectar from plants and they use that. Okay, and we got one more poll. Let's see if you guys can get this last one. I hope you can get this. Do bats live in New York? Do we know if bats live in New York? All right, everybody's getting, who said no? Come on, guys. You know that 9 species of bats live in New York. You know that. All right, awesome. And I promised you guys that I would show you a picture of a very funky looking bat at the end. I have to just find it real quick. Let's see. Where is my bat picture? Oh, I got so many bat pictures right now on my computer. It's ridiculous. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Okay, let's share this. Share this last. Here we go. This last type of bat. It's called a ghost bat. I don't think it doesn't live in New York. I don't know if it lives in North America at all, but it doesn't live in New York. I can tell you that much. Okay, so we learned a lot about bats today. I'm gonna let you guys unmute so you can tell me all the stuff that you want to tell me. Let's see. Okay. Okay, you have anything to say?
May kabanan listing.
Bye, Kayla.
Okay. Muted you for a second. I just want to say one more thing before we talk. That's the end of our talk for today. Next week on Thursday is Thanksgiving, so we are not going to do a talk, most likely. There's a little bit of chance that I might still do one. Let me just think about it for a second. Probably not, because I know you guys aren't in after school next week, and it would be hard to get you the link. So we aren't going to do one next week, but we'll do one the week after. And I think we'll learn a little bit about Native Americans and how they interact with nature in New York today. So we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. And if not, you guys have a great day. If you missed the beginning of this whole recording is going to be on our website. So I'll put that in the chat if you guys are curious. Who is writing so much stuff? Oh my gosh. Kobe, stop writing all of that in the chat, please. And if you want to stop, if you guys want to hang out and stick around, you can, and I'll be here. And thanks for coming today, guys. Bye.
Huh?